Hey, we're going to take a look today at a fireworks animation that would be appropriate for Algebra 1 students. This is what it looks like, or what it will look like when we're done. We can see that a particle rose up and then it exploded, so it looks like a firework. And this animation is going to be built using information that would be familiar to an Algebra 1 student. So we can break this task into a couple of parts. The first part is to make the projectile appear on the screen. So the way to do that is we can graph a set of points with a slider just like this, and this is going to make a quadratic point. So we can see our point is moving along a quadratic pathway, but it doesn't look much like a projectile. So with a series of transformations, we can make it look better. The first thing we might want to do, and the students might be familiar with this, is the idea of flipping the quadratic. And we would do that by adding a negative sign over here. And now the quadratic will rise and fall. So it looks much more like a projectile or a firework that's been fired into the sky. Now, if we wanted it to appear like it was going higher, we could add a vertical shift to it. And we could do that pretty easily just by adding a vertical shift right here. So now we can see it goes up, it crosses the y-axis at 5 and comes back down. And this feels pretty good. And I like that for this animation, to have the students think about how to make a firework. The next step is to make a burst, and the burst is a little trickier. So the students at Algebra 1 probably don't know how to graph a circle, and they certainly don't know how to do parametric equations. So we're going to have a hack, so to speak, to help them come up with a particle that looks like an explosion. One way to do this is with a list of values, and in this case, I'm going to make a list of x values, and I'm going to define that list of x values so that the particles are oriented around this explosion point. So if I look over here, if the peak is at 5, what I might want to do is have points appear kind of around it, and in terms of their x values. So for example, let's just start with some simple points. If I did -1, 0, 0, and 1, so, and then I created y coordinates. I'm going to make another list here. So in this case, my -1 is going to be at 5, and my 0 is going to be at 5. And then these points are going to be at, let's say, 4 and 4. And if I wanted to plot my points, I could do that easy enough by doing x, comma, y. And these aren't exactly what I wanted. I wanted this point here, which is at 5, actually to be up a little bit higher, like at, say, 6. And this point I wanted to be over here at, say, 5. So we can see now here we've got some coordinate points, but they're not going to do anything. So if I wanted them to feel like they were moving away, like from an explosion, the question is, well, how would we do that? And we have this parameter a, which can increase or decrease. And so if we made the coordinates influenced by the value of a, we could probably get these points to move. So looking at the first point, if we wanted that point to move, that -1, we could, for example, subtract our a value from it. And if we watch that point, now that point's moving away. And this other point, which is at 1, we might want to make that point move away as well. So we might want to add a to that. So now when our a points move, these 2 points move. And I'm going to turn off the projectile just for a second so we can concentrate on the particles. So now our particles are moving. As a moves, our particles move. And that feels pretty good. We want our y points to also move away. So the 2 y points that correspond to right over the explosion are right here. And what we could do is we could say, we could add a to this point at 6. And I'm just going to switch this so we can see it move. And now that point moves away. And we want our bottom point, which starts at 4, to move away. So now all 4 points are moving away, and it kind of looks like they're being exploded. And Algebra 1 students can certainly understand that as this value of a is getting bigger, that it's changing these coordinates. So now all that's left to do is create some domain restrictions, and so that will cause the projectile and the particles to appear at different times. So in this case, we want our projectile to appear when a is less than 0. And what happens now is I animate this point, you can notice that the projectile goes up and then it disappears at 0. And we want our particles to do the opposite. We want them only to appear at 0. So you'll notice it has these undefined values here, and that's fine because it's not defined yet because the a value is 0. It's only defined when it's bigger than 0. And here our points push outward, and it looks kind of like an explosion. And if we don't like how far away they are, we can shift that. So in the sense that these 2 points seem fine, these 2 points we might want to have a little bit closer to the origin. And there's loads of ways that we could do that. But I think this looks okay for now. So let's take a look at our animation from the beginning. And there you have it. So these are the basic ideas of how to make a projectile animation for students in Algebra 1. They can then take this to tweak it, and they can make more interesting displays like the one that I showed at the beginning. In this case, our display has multiple fireworks going off. Here it is. And here it goes. So I hope you have fun using this. I think the students will have a ball with it. And thanks again.